Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, or whatever day it is for you as you're watching this. I love you all so much, and this too shall pass. This too shall pass. So here is my message for the day, the bigger picture. So what we see, like in our physicality, right, is the third dimension. So everything physically that we're seeing and hearing is one reality. It's called the third dimensional reality, right? But there are other realities that are existing in this now as well that we don't see, that we don't hear, that we don't have somebody talking to us about every day, right? We don't get to turn on a quantum radio and hear the quantum news. So I'm going to be the quantum news today, okay? From a much larger perspective, and many of you already know this, and I've spoken about this, but from a much larger perspective in the quantum field, and when I say much larger perspective, I mean a much higher frequency. What is occurring right now is quite simply a shift in consciousness. It's a shift in the collective consciousness. So what that means is that there is a much bigger rattling happening. The underbelly of the dark frequencies or the dark energies are coming up to be cleared. But all it is consciousness shifting into a little bit of a higher consciousness, right? And when you talk about a planetary shift into another dimensional field, what has occurred and is occurring is the earth plane has to shift, the collective human consciousness has to shift, and the individual human has to shift, okay? And they don't all go together. So a collective consciousness is this. This is how I want you to imagine it. I want you to imagine every human body on the earth plane. I want you to imagine taking all those human bodies and putting them on a weight, right? And we're going to weigh the density of that collective, which is going to give us a frequency, okay? And then we're going to pull the medium, right? So there's a kind of like an average of the consciousness, right? So we're weighing the densities of the humans. We're putting it all together into one big equation, and we're pulling out the medium of all of those densities of each human body. Does that make sense? I think I kind of confused that. But anyways, we're weighing the collective's density or frequency, and we're going to create a medium number. That is the collective consciousness's vibrational pulse. And that has to shift. Imagine it like a large cloud over the earth plane, okay? So just because the earth shifts and just because we individually are shifting doesn't mean the collective is going to come. The collective as a whole has to shift as well because it's a massive energetic pulse on the earth plane, okay? So the earth as a physical plane has already shifted into the fifth dimensional field. She's already anchored in there. She did it pretty quickly. She did it with the assistance of us, the way showers, but she's already there, okay? We, as individual way showers and humans, are starting to shift towards her. We're starting to anchor into those higher fields. And eventually, at some other now, we'll be anchored into that fifth dimensional density and field, but it's going to be quite some time from now, right? But we're on our way. Now, the collective is starting to shift. And that's only because the earth is prepared and we're prepared as way showers, right? So now it's the collective's time to start to shift. And this is when it can get real cuckoo out there, chaotic, stressful. But this is the way ascension works. And the entire purpose of this entire experiment is ascension, which is the earth said, I want to move my high frequency into a form, and I want to take that form and move it into the next highest dimensional field while I remain in that form, like driving a car. I want to get into that car, and I'm going to drive the car, and I want the car to take me to some awesome destination, and I'm not going to get out of that car no matter how crazy it gets. Okay? That's ascension. You, as a higher consciousness, dropped into the body in order to experience a physical shift in consciousness without exiting the body. That's what we're doing. We're having a physical ascension. Okay? That's the absolute number one reason for this entire experience and experiment. Number one. That is what Earth created. Earth designed all of this as a higher consciousness. She created this entire thing. Now, all of the microcosmic experiences that we have had over the millions of years that Earth has been existing in this experiment is based on our free will, right? We all have free will. We all get to choose to come in or not come in. Come in as a bird, come in as a dog, come in as another human, support from a different dimensional field, whatever we want to do. We have free will in this experiment. But no matter what has occurred and played out, it has always been for the sole purpose of ascending. And right now is the most miraculous time for this ascension process. This is when it gets magical, right? This is the magic right now. Now, on the external third dimensional reality, it doesn't look so magical all the time, right? There's many of us that are struggling and suffering and in fear and scared. And, there's a lot of very dense consciousnesses that the human is individually and collectively allowing to pop up to feel, experience, see, and purge out. Beyond that in the quantum, from a higher perspective, that's called ascension. This is ascension right here. This is ascension from the collective's perspective, meaning the collective is now purging. This is the very first massive purge for the collective. And it's going to continue. We're going to have more of these purges, but we're ready. We're ready. So if you can see throughout your day, throughout your nows, yeah, I'm going to be human. Yeah, I'm going to feel all the shit. Yeah, I'm going to let myself be. You gotta be human because you are a human. But you also want to turn the quantum radio on. Turn the radio on. Listen to the quantum news. And the quantum news is going to tell you, oh, this is called ascension. This is why we're actually here on the earth plane in this now. The earth has ascended. We are collectively now ascending the collective. We're ascending it into the next highest frequency. And the only way to do that, the only way to move from a lower frequency to a higher frequency is to purge the density. The density, the denser consciousness has to move out of the field. It has to. It's the only way to move into the higher frequencies. It's how energy works. It's very basic. It's very physics oriented. It's not complicated. More light comes in. The dark is pulled into the surface, popped up, and cleared out. The only way it clears out is it's seen. It's acknowledged. Oh shit, there it is. It's felt, it's loved, it's dropped off. It turns into light, right? It turns into light. It's the same thing that's been happening to us individually. So I want you to look at, if you can, what you've been going through individually as you clear and purge and heal and all these things. And now just imagine it out on the collective's level, right? It's going to feel less, like very much out of control because it's the collective. You don't have control over the collective. You also don't have control over your own, ascension. But that's the whole purpose, is to step into these higher dimensional fields. Ascend, right? So the quantum news, can I turn the quantum news station on right now? What's the quantum news? Remember, that's huge because it allows you to become the observer. It allows you to not get stuck in only that which you are physically seeing as one reality. It is only one reality, you guys, okay? And it's not that we are taking away from what is occurring. It's that we are honoring what is occurring in this physical reality, which is the physical shift in consciousness, and we are honoring it from the perspective of the quantum field, recognizing that this is the sole purpose for any of this even happening. This has to happen. This was designed. This is divine. This is perfect. Every single time I go up and visit the Galactic Federation of Light right now, they're just like, this is perfect. Everything's fine. They're super calm, nothing big, no big deal. Remind the humans of this, remind the humans of that, right? There's no rattling for them. There's not any kind of freak out for them. They've seen way worse, right? Thousands of years ago, 100 years ago, when they had to come in and help, right? So this is just another little, this is perfect. We're doing it. And we get to be human and have all of our emotions around it. Okay? All of it. So be gentle with yourself. Turn the quantum radio on every single now, as often as you can. Listen to that news as well. There are way more realities out there. And remember, you already know this, because this is why you dropped into form, for the sole purpose of assisting this ascension. Assisting. And there's many other kind of microcosmic reasons for you jumping in. Number one, assisting. That's what you're doing right now. So you're the eye of the storm. You have to turn that quantum radio on. You've got to turn it on. You don't want to get stuck just in that third dimensional reality. in the chaos. You don't want to just get pulled into it. Where's my quantum radio? I'm going to turn it on now. I love you guys. We're doing this. We're doing this together. And everything you're feeling is validated and honored and seen and felt. And can you also turn that on? I love you.